last time we programmed a really nifty little Twitch bot that it went really well. It was a lot of fun. If you haven't watched the last video, you should definitely do that before watching this one, because we're going to base it off the last video. Now, last time we screwed up a couple of things. We left out a couple of things that we could have done better, and we left out a bunch of cool features. And first of all, in this video, we're going to implement a couple of really cool features. First of all, we're going to implement adding commands from chat. So those template commands that we did last time, we're going to implement kind of addcmd, delcmd, and this allows us to add and remove and edit commands straight from chat, which is really cool. That's one of the coolest features, and we're going to do that by writing to a file. I mentioned that last time, and we're actually going to do it this time. And then we're also going to add, by doing that, we're going to add support for more complex commands. So, you know, those kind of quote commands like add quote, and we know where our users can add like a new quote and it gets saved into a file, or just a counter like how many times I saw a cute doggo on stream, stuff like that. We're going to implement that as well. But first, we're going to look at some fixes. We're going to look at some improvements we can do to our code from last time. And then after we've done that, stick around because we're going to add some really cool features. The first thing is going to be something that actually I got as a suggestion from a nice person on Reddit. Is we made a slight mistake last time, and so here on our IRC server you can see that it's irc.twitch.tv, but really in the Twitch documentation it says to use irc.chat.twitch.tv, and we should be using that. And then the second thing is we are not connecting over SSL, and what that means is that all our details are sent in clear text, so it's not encrypted. And to correct that, to have everything be encrypted, all we have to do is we just got to change the port here from 66 and 97. So if you're following along at home, you can do that. And then we just have to do under import socket, we can throw in an import SSL, and then when we do connect, all we have to add here is ssl.wrap_socket around that. And then once we've done that, we're all good and we're connecting via SSL. The second thing is actually something that will make our life easier in the future. So as you can see here, our command prefix is always this exclamation mark. And this could be improved for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're hard coding this prefix, so we might want to change it. So it's good to extract it out of these strings. So just have sort of a general prefix. And the second thing is later when we add some custom commands, and you'll see what I mean in a moment, it'll be a lot easier to just handle the bare commands kind of like this and not really care what the prefix is. So to handle that, I think the best way to start would be to, well, first of all, we can take the prefix out of here because we're not going to need it. And so then we can write a function and we can call it remove prefix, and it's just going to take a string and then the prefix. And we're just going to say, well, if our string doesn't start with prefix, we're just going to return that string. But otherwise, the main thing we're going to do is we're going to return the string, and then we need to cut the prefix off. And so then what we basically do is we say, well, however long that prefix is, because we know, the prefix, because we know the string starts with the prefix, and so then we can return the string with the length of the prefix chopped off, and then the result will always be chopping off the prefix. And then let's see where we're going to use this function. Well, if you remember parse message, what we implemented last time, here, well, you can see already we're taking off the colon off of something. So this is not the exclamation mark prefix. This is just for some of the IRC things that we had coming in, we just wanted to take off the colon. And so here we're doing this, which is not super clear. So what would be clearer is if we just did remove prefix, the function we just implemented, and we're just going to say colon. And actually, you may be wondering why I'm not using self here, and you may notice that remove prefix I implemented outside of our class. And this is because if you think about it, remove prefix is something that may belong in some kind of util file or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily belong in our bot class. It's just a big utility that we might be, a general utility that we might be using in other places as well. And then the second thing is obviously here, well, if we said that we want a command without the prefix, here we need to do remove prefix, and then what do we remove? Well, we're not going to hard code it. We're going to say self.command prefix, and this is actually, we're just going to put this up here, and we're just going to say command prefix is just going to be the exclamation mark as it was before. So we were removing it here, and I think that's all good. And then, so it'll still work, but now here's the thing. Remove prefix won't complain if there's no prefix. It'll just go, well, okay, there's no prefix, we'll just continue. And this would make our command, so if our command was exclamation mark Discord, then this would turn it into Discord, and that's fine. But if our command, if the user just types Discord, then it will also run the command, because the command now internally is represented without the prefix, as you can see. So here in template commands, it doesn't have the prefix anymore. So we're relying on removing the prefix, but we have to say, hey, only treat this as a command if it actually has a prefix. So we're just going to say if text parts of 0 dot starts with self.command prefix. So it has to start with that prefix for us to consider it a command, text args. Then if that's true, we parse this and we take this into command and args. Otherwise, we're just going to leave it at none, which is what we set it above, and then we know that we don't have a command. Now, basically, the only thing that we still need to do we even have to do anything? I think this should actually work. And then if we run the bot, you should see it here. Oh, you can see that we do have a problem. None-type object is not subscriptable. That's true. That's true. So let's see how we, oh sorry, text parts, that's a typo. All right, we're just gonna rerun that, and so that works. And you know what, we're just gonna do a 2-in-1 here, and while we're doing this, I'm just gonna change these logs, because you see these logs are really hard to read. It's really hard to read, and we're just gonna go print, we're just gonna comment this out and say print received message. Here we were printing out the parsed message so that we know that everything is parsed correctly, but let's just print out what we get, because actually that is going to be shorter. So see, this is much easier to read, guys, isn't it? All right, and now we're here, and then if we type !Discord, it still works. It works just fine. And then if we type Discord, it doesn't. And now if we want to test this prefix thing, so if we just change the prefix to I don't know, for example, question mark, and then we rerun that, if I type !Discord, it'll work. So basically, this is the update that we needed to handle any kind of prefix, and you'll see that it also comes in handy later. The next thing that we should definitely fix is if we go down here, we can see this. First of all, we're handling template commands first, and then we're handling custom commands. If you think about it, this is backwards, so this shouldn't be the case. Because if we have a custom command, those are kind of the built-in commands, such as addcmd and so on. But template commands can be defined. So for example, if we say !addcmd, this is a command to add another command. But if we say addcmd, then we have a command called addcmd and template commands as well. So this is a built-in custom command, but this is going to be in our template commands, the ones that are dynamic and you can add from chat. So again, the custom commands are just the things that you define inside your code, and then the template commands are sort of simpler commands that just have a text template and you can also define from chat. Now, if we do this, it'll break, right? Because then it'll find the added template command first, and then we won't be able to use addcmd. So the fix for that is very simple. We just want our custom commands, because they're more important, to always take precedence, and we're going to handle them first, and then we're not going to handle, so we're going to put an elif there. We're not going to handle them. So if we already have a custom command with that name, we're not even going to check for a template command. So that's just a quick fix. Another improvement that we can do is kind of correcting how we handle these template commands. Because if you remember, we just basically said, hey, we're just going to try to format this message. So just to remind you, this format string could be something like this. So please join message channel. But then I didn't mention last time that, for example, here, check out message.textargs of 0. So this basically means that this command takes an argument. But if you run a command without arguments, and we can actually just try to do that. So if I just run this bot and I just say shout out, well, it doesn't do anything for some reason. Oh, sorry, I think I left my prefix as question mark from last time. Nice. Just gonna restart it. If we just do !shout out, you can see that it complains and it crashes. It says list index out of range. That's not what you want. That's not good at all. That's not what we want, guys. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go back to where we were, and we're gonna say the following thing. We're just gonna put this in a try, because first of all, we don't want the thing to crash here anyway. And we're gonna do to accept. So first of all, we're gonna do accept index error. And here, this basically index error means that there's one of those args that you try to access isn't there. So it was the 0th arg, but that doesn't exist if you got an index error. So we're just going to print a helpful message. So we're just going to say, do some text, and we're going to say format string, and we're going to do add message.user. And we're just going to write your command is missing some arguments, something like that. And then we're just going to do self.send priv msg, self.channel. So the first thing is the channel, and then the text. All right. sorry, not self.channel, it's message, because this is it's handling for the message that we have here. All right, cool. So we're just gonna send it like that. So if there's any kind of error, the bot is just gonna reply to the user and say, hey, your command, it's not right, like you did something wrong, because we don't want the bot to crash, but we also want to have some feedback to the user. And then we're just gonna say accept exception as E. Now what this means is any other exception, we're just gonna say error while handling template command, and then we can just also print the message, for example, and the template as well, you know, why not? And then we're also going to print the exception. So basically what this means is if there's any kind of other problem, so if the user puts like some arguments in there inside this format string or inside this command that, you know, are kind of wrong, or if there's something wrong with our template or something like that, which can happen because we're just going to be adding commands from the chat as well, then we're just going to say, hey, let's not crash, and let's just kind of print it out to our console, and let's just move on and ignore it. So that's another improvement. All right, now the time has come for the big addition. The big thing that we wanted to do today is adding template commands, or changing the template commands such that you can add them and edit them and remove them from chat, which is going to be really cool. So to do that, I hinted at this last time, the main thing that we have to do is we have to write them to the file. So we're just going to leave this here for reference. We can just comment it out, but just because we want to add those commands later from chat, we're going to add them from chat. And then what we want to do is we want to go here and say we want to add two things. First of all, self.state, and it's going to be an empty object at first. So state, what is this state going to be? The state is going to be what stores both our template commands and any other stuff that we might want. So let's actually visualize what that would look like. And you'll see why I'm adding this as an object. You'll see it a bit later. It's going to be a bit of a tease here. So state schema, we're just going to specify what our blank state would look like. And well, we're going to have template commands. And let's just leave it at that for now. So this is what it would look like. And you might wonder, why am I writing this here? And you'll see in a second. Our default state is just going to be an empty state. And the first thing that we want to be able to do when we sort of start up the bot is we want to read our state out from a file. And so we're just going to say also state file name. We can just say state.json. We don't care. It can be whatever. And we're just going to use JSON to store that state because it's just the easiest for us, which means we have to go here. I'll just go here and import JSON. And now we have to write functions to do a couple things. So let me show you. The very first thing is we want to be able to read that state. So we're just going to do a function that's called read state. And to do that, we just want to open it's self.state file name, we called it, and we're just going to say read as file. So that's going to be our file, and our self.state is going to be json.load file. And I think that's actually it. We don't need to return anything or anything like that. And then we need to also write the state. So when we change commands, we need to be able to write the state. So this is the same thing. It's just here we're going to have a W, and here we're going to say we're just going to say json.dump, and it's going to be self.state is going to be what we're going to put in the file, and then file is going to be our file. All right, so we've read and we've written the state. So basically we're taking the self.state, we're reading it from a file, and then we're writing it to a file. Now, can you see, if I were to use this code, can you see a problem here? Because there's going to be a problem here. The very first time that I run this code, it's going to give me a whole lot of nothing. And in fact, we can just open state.json and open this. But as you can see, it might be that this is just an empty object, which is going to be, I'm not going to, write out template commands and all this stuff in the JSON file. And in fact, maybe it doesn't even exist, which we're not handling right now, but we will. I think we are actually even handling it right now. Well, we have to write to it first, but it might not even exist. So if it's an empty object, I just want to make sure that that state file that I've read, it has everything that I need. Because for example, in the future, I might add a command such as count the number of cute dogs I've seen on stream. And to do that, I need something, I'm going to need something in my state, like Doggo Counter, That's kind of the thing. And so because of that, whenever I run that the first time, Doggo Counter won't exist. So we just need to make sure that the state looks like what we want it to look like. So we're just going to say ensure state schema is going to be a function. And we're just going to say, well, is our state kind of looking off? The state that we read, is it kind of wrong? And we're just going to say false at the beginning. And we're just going to go for every key in our state schema. So every key that we know that it should have, right? Every key that we know it should have. And then we're going to say, well, if we don't have it in our state, we're going to do two things. First of all, we're going to say, well, that means that something got messed up. And then we're going to say self.state of key is just going to be self.state schema of key. So we're going to be basically taking whatever default value out of state schema and putting it in the state. And then we're going to return whether or not we had to change something. Now, if we had to change something, right, when we read the state, we're just going to say, well, let's check it. Let's just check if it's dirty. So, or let's just actually make sure that it has all the fields and check if we had to change it. And then if we did have to change it, very simple, we're just going to say self.write state. Because after we fix our state, we want to write it back to a file. So basically, we're checking that our state file is all well and good. And then if we had to make any fixes to it, we're just going to write it back. This means that now I don't have to worry about, oh, did I add this thing in the file and all this stuff. So basically now we have written this to this file. And what I still need to do actually is I'm still going to have to change things, because here template commands, see here it's actually using that sort of global variable we had before. So I'm just going to say self.state of template commands. So it's the same as before. I'm just going to change in here as well. If I can type template commands. So it's the same thing as before. And in fact, let me run this and show you what's going to happen. So if we go to our state file, right now it's just an empty object, And then if we just run the file, just run our bot, we can see that if we look at this file, nothing happened. And I'll tell you why that happened, because we didn't really call anything. So we're just going to make an init command, an init function. And this function is going to do two things. It's going to, first of all, read the state from the file, and then we're going to connect. And instead of running just connect here, we're just going to do init. So we want to both connect and read the thing from the file. So now we're calling this and we're reading the state. So now if you run it again, right here we have template commands. And now actually I'm going to do what I said I wouldn't do before, just to make sure that this works. And we're just going to make a command called discord, and it's just going to be hello, join the discord. This is just so we can test it right now. We're not going to be editing this file or anything like that. So just to make sure. Now when we read the file, in theory in this chat, if I then type !discord, see, it says hello, join the Discord. So it's the exact same thing that we had before. It's just that right now it's more extensible by the fact that it's like in a file, right? And so let's see how we would like to extend that. The sort of most obvious thing is to add a command, right? So we want to add a new command, just like I just added into the file, but we just want to oh, and sorry, this is a bug that we actually didn't fix before. We want to take out these exclamation marks here. So if you remember before, we just changed the prefix thing, and now our commands don't have to start with exclamation marks. Right, so we just want to add a command to add a command, but actually let's do something simpler first. We're just going to do self.list commands. And list commands is just going to say what commands are available. And let's just see how we can add that. Let's just go to a really nice place. Where can we make a function? Let's just make a really nice, yeah, that's a nice spot to make a function. And we're just going to say list commands, and it's just going to be self and message. Because why is it self and message, guys? Because last time all of our commands, we said we standardized to take self and message. So we don't have to even think about that. Now, what are all our commands? Well, our commands are the things that we have in template commands, that's true. But actually, our commands also are the custom commands. So let's just merge those. So we're just going to take all the command names. And we're just going to say, well, let's just say template command names first. Template command names. And it's just going to be, we're just going to take the template commands. We're going to take the keys. And actually, we can just do a list here. Just do a list. And then we're going to do custom command names. It's going to be the same thing. Self.custom commands. Keys. Just gonna make a list out of that. And then all command names is just gonna be template command names plus custom command names, right? So those are all the command names that we have. And actually, those are, if you remember, we changed it to have like the prefix is handled before is handled when we parse the message. So now our command names don't have an exclamation mark, but when the user requests all the commands, you know, they want to know, hey, do we type an exclamation mark? So we're just going to say, we're just going to change all command names, and you know what, we're not going to change it, we're just going to do it right here. And we're just going to say for command in this thing right here. So for command in this big list, I think I need to add parens there. Oh no, it's fine. I just need to write the condition. What we're going to do is we're going to say self.command prefix plus command. That's good. Nice. All right. So now we have all of the command names with a prefix. Now, what we want to do is just join those into a string, and we're going to make a nice string, and we're going to make it a format string. We're going to add the user just so that they see this thing. And then we want to join all of these with spaces. All right. So then we can just send a privmsg, and we're going to send it to our message.channel, the channel, because remember, we support multiple channels. So this is the channel that we got the request on, the channel that the user messaged. And now theoretically, what did I call this? Call this CMDs, right? So if we rerun this, and then I go into the chat and I type CMDs, you can see that we have the following commands. Discord, which is a template command, so that's in our file. And then we have date, ping, randint, and CMDs. And randint is just something that we defined last time. It gives you a random int. And you know, Discord is just a template command that we just defined. So that's cool. All right. Right. So then let's see what the next step actually is. Well, let's just say we want to add a command. So we just want to add a template command, and let's just go back to the really nice cozy spot that we had for this function, which was right around here. All right. And then we're just going to say add template command, and it's going to take self and message. Now, I wanna take a second here to talk about something, because add template command, we need to decide how we want it to work, right? So if there's a command that already exists, right, we might want add to fail, because if you want to edit a command, that's fine, but you may unintentionally be doing add without knowing that the command exists and overwrite it by accident. So let's actually do the following thing. We're gonna make a special. So inside this code somewhere, we're going to check does the command exist. But before that, we're just going to say edit template command with self and message. And we're going to do a little bit of a trick. We're just going to say return self.add template command. So we're just going to defer to this function. And we're going to add like a special parameter. And it's going to be force equals true. And we're going to add a force parameter here, which will default to false. So basically what this means is that edit and add are the same thing, except that when you do edit, it runs add and it tells add, hey, don't worry if the command already exists. We're good. We're good. It's all good. All right. Now, the very first thing we want to check is check if we have the correct number of arguments, because to add a command here, let me just get rid of the split on the right because it's getting a little bit cramped. Now, to add a command, you're going to need addcmd, so it's going to be addcmd discord, join the discord. This is what it's going to look like. So basically this is our command. Our first argument is going to be the name, and all the other arguments are going to be the sort of command template. But we need at least 2 arguments, right? So we're going to say if length of message text args is going to be less than 2, we just want to send a really nice message to the user and say, hey message user, here's how you use it. And it's just gonna be addcmd name and then template. Right? Just say that and say self.send privmsg as before, message.channel. This is just a function that we made. Return. There we go. So that handles that. Now we need to split the command name from the template, and we should know how to do this because we've already done this kind of thing. And actually, if you think about it, this is another use for our remove prefix function that we made earlier, because it's going to be addcmd discord blah, and then this discord may or may not, we're going to allow both with and without exclamation mark. That's fine. But if it does have it, we want to remove it. So here's what we're going to do. Command name is going to be remove prefix, and we're going to take the first argument, so message text args of 0, and the prefix is of course the command prefix as always. And then our template, well, we just have to take all of the other, so message.text args from the second one on, and we just want to join those by spaces because we split them by spaces, right? So that's our template basically. Now we need to do that check that I mentioned. So if our command name, right, is in self.state of template commands and not force, so if we're not using edit, so if we're not forcing and we already have that command, then we want to send a nice message again. So we can just copy this whole thing here and we're just to say message user command name already exists, use well, I want to say editcmd. That's going to be our edit command, but we're just going to also do a command prefix first, so that, you know, the user has the correct prefix when we're telling them how to use the command, if you'd like to edit it. So that's all good, right? So we're all good there. Now we've done all that. Now we have to actually save the command, and it's very simple because of the architecture that we have right now. We're going to do self.state of template commands, and then we're just going to say command name equals, of course, template, because we want to have inside our template commands, we want to have the command with command name, whatever we got as command name, and then the template, whatever other stuff we got. So it's going to be, first in our example, it's going to be the command name is going to be Discord, and the template's going to be whatever we want the command text to be. And then, guys, do you remember when we did the write state? We're just going to write that state. So as soon as we have a new command, we're just going to write it to the file. Because now we've saved it into our class, but it's not in the file yet. Because if we didn't do this, if we then stopped the bot and restarted it, it would go away. But we want to write it to the file. And we're just going to give the user a little bit of feedback here. So command added, and then send them that message. And yeah, that's basically all we have to do. So we can now add this command. And let's try it out, guys. Let's try it out. It's going to be fun. So do this. And we're just going to add CMD. Well, actually, did I add that to the, well, no, I didn't. So we're going to do add CMD, add template command, and then edit CMD, edit template command, right? So we have add and edit. Now, add CMD, what's it going to be? We're just going to say a ping. Do we have ping and pong? Did I do that? No, we do have ping and pong. Let's do something else. We're just gonna do woof. It's gonna be, hey there. All right. So now we've added that command. Command woof added. It's gonna go woof. Hey there. So it works. It works. And then, actually, you know what? Let me change to writing this as Vlad H, just because then you can differentiate the commands from the replies. Okay. So now we say woof and it says hey there, and then if we do add cmd woof test, it's gonna say command woof already exists, use edit cmd if you'd like to edit it, and then we can edit cmd woof, and we're gonna say no dogs allowed. All right, looks like we got a problem here. Add template command got multiple values for argument force. Now, why did that happen? Why did that happen? Self message. Oh, because I'm passing self. Oh, that's not good. That's not what you want. No. So we're gonna do edit cmd woof no dogs allowed, right? Then we go woof, and then it says no dogs allowed. And again, you do add cmd woof test. It doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. You can just edit it. That's great. Now we can kill the bot and restart it, and then our woof command has been saved, right? Isn't that great? We don't have, you know, we can save commands now. We've done it. It's perfect. Now the only thing that we want to do still is we want to be able to delete delcmd, because, you know, we've done a lot of like silly commands here. So we want to be able to clean them up. So we're just going to go here to edit template command, and we're just going to say delete template command. And now let's see what we need to do here. So first of all, what's this going to look like? It's going to look like exclamation mark delcmd name. So we need to have one argument at least. Now, because we've created a lot of silly commands, we want to be able to delete multiple at once, because otherwise, just think about it. You would have to go for every single command and so on. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, okay, it has to be at least one. So we're going to complain if the number of arguments is less than one. So we're going to say if the length of message.textargs is less than one, Then we're gonna just, we can just copy this stuff over here. And usage delcmd name. There you go. Send it, we're done. The user knows what's up. They don't have to bother us anymore. And now we just do command names. And here we have multiple command names. So each argument is gonna be a name. So how do we do that? Well, we're gonna remove the prefix for each argument, and the prefix is gonna be our command prefix. And we're gonna do that for argument in message.textarg. So for each argument that we got, we're gonna remove the prefix, and that's gonna be our command names. Now, here's another thing. Here's another thing, right? We wanna make sure that all of the commands that we were given exist. Because imagine otherwise, if you give it 2 valid commands and then 1 invalid command, what's gonna happen? It's gonna go through them, delete a couple, then it breaks on one of them, then you don't know which commands have been deleted and which not. We don't wanna bother with that at all. We're just gonna say, hey, all the commands you give me, they have to exist. They have to exist, guys. There's no other way. Putting our foot down. All right, so here we're gonna do an if, and we're just gonna do the following thing. If not all, so we're trying to match, we're trying to say, hey, for every item this has to hold. And for every item in what? Well, for every item for command name in command name. So for every command name, what has to hold? Well, the command name has to be in our template commands. Right? Right. So if this is not true, we need to yell at the user and be like, hey, what the heck? And we're just gonna say one of the commands doesn't exist. And just complain and return, and then that's fine. Now, we need to do the actual deletion. So for command name in command names, we're just gonna say, we're just gonna delete self.state of template commands and then of command name. So we're just gonna remove it out of our dict. And now, of course, we can just write state. So we've removed all the commands, we can save it, and we're fine. Now, we want to say what we did, and we can just say we can just join the commands. Let's just do it like this. So we're gonna do some text, and the text is gonna be a format string at message.user as always, and then we're just gonna say commands deleted. And then we're just gonna do join by space. Command names, right? There you go. There you go. So now we're saying we've deleted all those commands, and we can just privmsg that, and then we're good to go. So now we have all of the command editing stuff that we needed. So we can rerun the bot, and we can say, well, what are our commands? All right, so let's add meow, addcmd, meow, no cats allowed. Now, you know what? We're gonna allow cats. Cats welcome. Cats welcome. There you go. Meow works now. It's on our CMDs. Sorry, I should do this as Vlad H. I should do this as Vlad H. So CMDs, there you go. Discord, woof, meow, and so on. And then I just want to do delcmd, delcmd woof, and meow. So we're gonna delete those. See, and now if we do CMDs, woof and meow are gone. So basically, we've done everything. We've done everything that we needed to do to have custom commands, guys. So basically, now you can add and remove commands and so on, and edit commands from chat. It'll save it to a file, and it'll persist when you restart the bot. So that's it for the sort of the custom command editing from chat. And let's now look at how we can use the state that we created here. You know, we can just remove this. We don't really. We could add those. Let's add those. You know what? Let's just do just to show you how you would do this in real life. So because this also supports the templates. addcmd Discord. Please join the message.channel Discord server message.user. All right. So now we've added that, and then you can say, oh, command Discord already exists. delcmd Discord. There you go. And then we're just gonna redo what we did. There you go. And then you can say Discord. Nice. All right, easy. So we've added that command that we had before, and it supports arguments, and you can use these arguments right in the chat. So you can add it like that. That means we can delete this. And then let's look at the state and what we can do, what other things that we can do with it. To finish things off, I'm going to show you something really cool that we can do with the state that we just got. So of course, now you know that you can add and edit commands, but one thing that I wanted from my stream is adding quotes, you know, so when you can add a quote, like if I say something funny, you can add it and then with a command, and the bot remembers it and then it can give you a random quote later of something funny that happened. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do a simpler version, and it's just going to be something really nice. It's going to be a Doggo Counter. Starts at 0, so we're just writing it here to initialize it, right? So whenever we don't see that in our JSON file, we're going to say, hey, we need to initialize that. And our Doggo Counter is going to keep track of how many cute doggos we saw on stream. It's going to start with 0, and we're just going to add under rand in, we're just going to say doggo, and I'm just going to say increment doggo. And let's just find a nice location for our function here, just below, kind of in between here, maybe after list commands, why not? And we're gonna say def increment doggo, self and message. And what is increment doggo gonna do? Well, it's very simple. We're just gonna say self.state of doggo counter plus equals 1. We're gonna send a message, and it's gonna be f doggos scene, and it's just going to be self.state of doggo counter, and close that, right? Self send priv msg message dot channel and text, and we're just going to then write the state. So that means that now we're incrementing, when someone types this command in, we're incrementing our doggo counter, very important, and then we're saving it such that next stream, when we start up the bot again, the Doggo Counter will have been saved, right? And we can just look at our state.json file here, and you can see that we only have the Discord command. We can restart our bot, and then we can see that now we have a Doggo Counter of 0. And then if we just go doggo, let me do it from the other account, sorry, just keep doing this. Doggo scene 1, doggo scene 2. Just gonna do, just because of rate limiting, I'm just gonna put an argument after it. It doesn't do anything, the A, it's just because Discord Twitch blocks me from typing in too much. And then if we restart and we say doggo, you can see that it starts from 3 because it remembers it. We saved it into the file, and using this exact same mechanism, you can implement quotes, you can implement any kind of command like this that you want. So basically what we've done today is we've taken our previous bot, which was solid but kind of simplistic, and now we've changed it to support a state that is saved into a file, and then it can remember anything that we want. So if you want to have any other kind of command, anything that you want to remember, you can just put it into this state schema, put it into this state, and it'll get saved to a file. You just have to do write file. And yeah, I think that's a great improvement, and I will be using this for my Twitch stream. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't seen the stream, twitch.tv/clumsycomputer is where we do programming streams like this. Every Monday we program stuff from scratch. It's very fun, and right now we're going to continue working on this bot with chat. We're gonna have some cool features for our stream, and I hope that was a fun video for you. I hope you learned something. I hope it was interesting, and have fun programming, and take care. I'll see you next time.